Hey guys, hello to everyone. Sergey with you. This is YouTube channel Assistance TV, as you requested. I'm going to put together another collection of life hacks and DIY projects for fishing. The previous videos got a lot of views, so now I'll share some old school life hacks. Homemade, and I will also give some tips for fishing, which have already been tested by experience. Let's go, friends. Everything is possible. Many of you know about this method of how to cook pearl barley in a thermos. And by the time you're heading out for fishing, it will already be ready for you guys. But I will tell you, not only how to cook pearl barley in a thermos, but also how to make it much more effective. For fishing, the fish will just go crazy for this. I swear, all we need is at home. Take a thermos, boil some water, pour in the pearl barley, and then fill it with really good boiling water. Guys, and while we're on the way, everything will be ready. From here on, it's simple. We take our pearl barley out of the thermos and pour it into some container. Well, for example, I have this bucket here, right? And guys, I want to tell you that you can add any bait that you use into it. Any bait with sense or without sense. For example, I'm taking a hirobuna. This is what it looks like, Chinese hirobuna. I pour the hirobuna in there. And after that, guys, we mix it all together. When we mix it all together, our pearl barley will be in hirobuna particles or in particles of you and me. And friends, it's going to be just awesome. I'm serious with you. When we throw in the pearl barley, especially now while it's warm, it will soak up the scent. When we throw in the pearl barley with the hook, there will be a cloud of dust coming from our barley. That kind of dust will attract the fish because it's already, you see, coated. In this case, our bait is hirobuna. I want to tell you that in all my fishing trips, especially for crucian carp, I use this kind of pearl barley, specifically with this hirobuna or with bait that has strong scents like garlic or other sharp smells. It turns out just amazing. Another thing I often talk about in my videos is fishing with foam. Often when you use a spring, by the way, you see here's the spring. I have it repaired. I talked about this in the last collection of life hacks. You can click on the hint at the top now and check out the previous collection. Guys, what I often talk about the need to use foam or cork when fishing because it lifts your bait off the bottom, and certain types of fish bite better on floating bait in specific weather conditions such as rainy or sunny days. Let's picture the scene. A regular feeder, a regular hook. We're going to take this, put it on here, well, let's say 3 maggots. 1, 2, and if we now put it between, we'll put the maggots on. Here is a foam ball that you don't have to put on. Just on top or bottom, you can place it between the maggots. The picture will be completely different. As you could see in the underwater footage, the hook just lies off to the side of the feeder, while the hook with the foam actually floats above the feeder itself. When the fish comes to feed, it automatically swallows this hook. It sucks it in. Especially if it's carp, they'll definitely take it, guys. Make sure to try this method. I believe you will succeed. You can also use something instead of foam, like popcorn for fishing, or floating corn, floating pearl barley, floating dry bloodworms, anything. Or hirobuna. The fishing will also be really great with hirobuna. The next life hack will be about silicone bait, or rather, about how to make sure that our bait doesn't slip off, and that we don't have to attach a new one every time in order to save money and consumables when fishing. So right now in front of you is a regular silicone lure. It's just a regular fish, guys, on this little swivel called cheburashka. But often when we're fishing, the fish breaks the perch, especially here. It happens. Such a place. Especially if the bait is weak, it always slides off. If it's in that position, the fish won't bite. For the fish bite, the lure has to be positioned well. This is dressed, all know. And so guys, here's a very simple life hack to keep the lure always in that position and prevent it from sliding off. You have small bites from perch. All we need to do is take a regular fishing sleeve and cut off a tiny piece. Well, about like this, a few millimeters. And now we just need to take this sleeve and thread it through our hook twice. You can replace the sleeve with some other kind of rubber. The sleeve is just the simplest option. We press it down from the top, and that's it, guys. Our rubber sleeve keeps our bait in place constantly. It won't slide off. You see, even under my efforts it slides down, but it remains practically in place. If I press down hard, of course, it works. So it's a simple way to keep it tight. So here, our silicone fish is very effective. Guys, the next tip is about casting a fishing rod. Cast it as far as possible. We all know this, that you can only cast a float rod to the length of the rod itself, meaning the length of the fishing pole. If it's 5 meters, you set the line to 5 meters. Well, let's say you added another half meter down, and you can make the cast. But if you need to cast very far, and your line is hanging down significantly, it will be quite uncomfortable for you to make the cast. This way, in the usual manner, it will lead to a lot of difficulties. Like this. In the usual way, this will lead to a lot of difficulties. Well, or you'll have to make an awkward cast almost over yourself, which can lead to snagging on trees if there are any above you, and also snagging on wires. I don't know how people manage to do that, but now we'll show you those clips. So, snagging on wires, that means those were probably casts made while falling over yourself. In order to make such a super long cast, you need to measure the length, the line. Well, a comfortable length for a regular cast, based on the length of your rod. Now you need to take it and let it go. Well, a meter of line. After you've released that meter of line, you end up with a length that's very uncomfortable, much longer than your rod. Well, about 1.5 meters. Look, there it is. Do you see the line? Look, it's wobbling. That's where the rod is. Guys, look. All that's left to do now is... It's done very easily. Line. We pull it down in 2. We'll tuck it under the reel right here, and down it goes. Whoa! It goes down. Whoa! Here we hold it with our finger. Here we hold line finger. With one hand we hold, with the other hand we take the float. The float is now much higher than it was. And this way we have a double loop here. With the reel, we can make a regular cast, and after this cast, our float will fly twice. Next, all the line has gone from here, it's taut here, and now the float is flying far away. This life hack is about glow sticks and quiver tips. Guys, anglers sometimes have trouble figuring out how to properly put a glow stick on a quiver tip. There are many ways to do it, but I'll show you the 2 methods that I use. They're really simple, and you can, I don't know, but in just a few seconds while fishing, you can take off your feeder setup and put a glow stick on it. And it will look really cool, you can see it. And the glow stick will be right at the tip of the quiver tip. Not somewhere in the middle, but right here at the very edge. The quiver tip is very thin, friends. We know that it can show even the slightest fish bite. Here's the tip. And here are the regular glow sticks that you can buy from an online store or somewhere in China. Guys, let's open our pack. And I want to tell you right away that in fireflies, in addition to fireflies, there are always cambrics. In our case, the most useful sleeve will be this transparent silicone sleeve. In this pack, we have 2 silicone sleeves and 5 glow sticks. I always recommend using glow sticks with a diameter, well, larger than average. Right now, I have glow sticks with a diameter of 4.5 millimeter. I think this, guys, is the most suitable diameter for everything, both for floats and for feeders, and for bottom rigs. Because when the diameter of the glow sticks is very small, there isn't enough liquid in them, and they don't shine as brightly. It's much smaller than one with a larger diameter, like this one. But that doesn't mean you should go for a thick glow stick. If you take a very thick one, guys, it might not fit any rod you have, and you won't be able to use it anywhere. As I already said, there are 2 ways. Right now, this is the very first, the easiest one. We just take the sleeve and thread it through the tip of the swivel to avoid breaking the ring. And now into our sleeve, guys, we can easily and effortlessly, without much effort, simply just take and insert our glow stick, just like that. Insert from top. Oh! You need to insert the cambric like this, pushing it right up to the ring because this is where it is thinnest. Insert it and then pull it down together with the sleeve like this. It's good that the sleeve stretches, it stretches nicely. So we pull it down like this, and then we insert the glow stick. Our glow stick ends up right here, and it's fitted very tightly, as you can see, right here, see? And we broke it, then we inserted it here, and everything will work great for us. But there's a downside. There's a space here between the ring, and the line can get tangled when casting. You'll need to keep the line taut at all times and pay attention to it. It's quite inconvenient. You can also put the sleeve on this side, but then you'll have a spot where it can tangle, not at the top but at the bottom. Same thing. Well, guys, it's 50-50. Sometimes it gets tangled, sometimes it doesn't. So now I'm going to show you another way to avoid those tangles. We need to cut our sleeve using a utility knife. Actually, we need to cut 2 narrow strips from it. Now we take our strips and thread them in here. It's much easier to thread them because they have a smaller diameter. And now we thread the glow stick like this right here. Oh, on one side, and we thread it through. On the other side, it fits on with less effort. A smaller diameter sleeve is better, guys. It stretches, and we leave the sleeve like this at the edge. So our glow stick is threaded through. The sleeve is here, and there's no part here where the line can get caught and tangle. It is. We pull this one down a bit. You see the sleeve is holding on, but the downside is that when casting, perhaps the cambric will somehow weaken, and it will, guys, fall out. Leaving something like this, to be honest, it's only happened to me a couple of times out of 10 fishing trips. Therefore, this option is still more correct. When you can carefully put the sleeve on from both sides, guys, it's a pretty simple way to attach glow sticks to a quiver tip. As you understood, choose the method that works best for you. Well, since I brought up the topic of glow sticks, let me say a few words about floats as well. We all know that there are different types of floats. Right now in front of you there are 3 different floats, guys, in our sleeve from the same glow stick. Let's say this float you see will be big. It will fit on this float, but with some difficulty. On this float too, guys, it fits with some effort, but it does. And here's what I want to tell you. For things like Dunka or like feeder, I advised you more. That's right, fireflies. And also these glow sticks will fit perfectly here. We put on the sleeve, added the glow stick on top, and it holds well. But we need to slightly weigh down the load, meaning we should add a couple of shot pellets so that the float stands up. Because if you just add the tip, it won't lift at all. This is how you attach them to the floats. Here, for example, I attach it like this. If I use a float like this, the one I like with such a tip, with such a thin antenna, then this cambric will have some play here. You need to either put some kind of stick or branch underneath, which is quite inconvenient, or just buy the appropriate minimum diameter. Fireflies and attach them to a float like this, or use floats like these because fireflies are sold in different diameters. And so for different floats they serve differently. But also, in addition to all this, there is a special float for the firefly. This is what it looks like. It has a cap that opens, and it's empty inside, so you can just easily insert something into it. Our glow stick, just pop it in and close the cap, which is quite convenient, and you'll be able to fish with everything being transparent here. Everything will be visible, but the only downside is that this lid, friends, leaks very often. So, moisture and water get in here when you're fishing, and as a result the float stops standing up, and so on. So, I don't know. I recommend you try both options and choose what's best for you. But again, does this bother you? Alright, let's say it doesn't come out anymore as a replacement. There's problem. I want to knock it out, but it doesn't want to come out. I still recommend using either these or those floats and getting the corresponding diameter of glow sticks and sleeves for them. This will be the best. You won't have to change the rig, as this float is not very convenient. Not very good? Fish with him during the day. And use regular standard floats. Since we've already started talking about glow sticks and floats, I want to continue discussing floats. Friends, I want to tell you about a very good and simple way to make a tube for floats. Strong, reliable, and really cool. The simplest option for a float tube, guys, is to use a tube like this. A cognac tube. A cognac tube or something else. We know that there's a dense tube, like a cardboard one. There's quite a bit of space in it, and you can use it as a tube for floats or for storage. Some fishing feeders and tackle. It's big, friends, it's sturdy, and it's cool. Let me show you. For example, we open it up, take our floats, our tackle, whatever we need, and just throw everything inside. We closed our tube with you. That's it. We now have a good container for floats. This is like the simplest life hack there is. Or you can make a tube like I did earlier from a pipe. This one is already a bulletproof tube, waterproof. If you step on it, nothing will happen to it. From a regular sewer pipe with a lid, I made a lid and filled it with hot glue. That's where I also keep my floats. it all closes tightly. Case. I painted it a bright orange color so that it could be found anywhere on the river. Suddenly it might get lost somewhere, fall into the grass, and this tube is also really cool. Of course, many will start commenting that, hey, you can just buy a fishing tube. It doesn't cost much at all. Yeah, but guys, it's really fragile. If you press it with your hand, it just cracks. And all your floats, especially if you have sporty, expensive ones, will just become unusable. They'll just break. And this tube, free. Well, almost for free. I think we drank the bottle. I ended up with such a cool case from a water bottle or one made by hand. Therefore, if you liked everything, put a like and also write in the comments what kind of tube for floats you use, homemade or purchased. And if it's homemade, please let me know in the comments what you made it from. How to make a super effective hook by hand. Perhaps you are such a hook. Previously, they were seen on old grandfather's fishing rods in their garage, or on father's fishing rods. Well, my father told me this life hack too, a long time ago, which I often use when fishing. The fish is definitely hooked more securely, and the fish can also hook itself when sucking in the bait. You guys don't even need to jerk suddenly. The fish can just suck in the bait and swallow the hook right into their lips. Now I'll show you everything. To better demonstrate everything to you, I'm going to take a hook that's a bit larger than what I usually use, but it'll be much easier to show you. Initially it has a standard form, but looks like this. This is a standard hook, ours. Now the task is to give this hook a different shape so that it exists. But now I'll try to show you what it should look like, just a little bit different, after making some changes. We have a hook that looks like this, guys. This is the shape, as you can see. Well, I think you can see it clearly. But it, guys, is still there. It's also in the same plane as it was. See, it's straight. We need to slightly bend it so the point is facing to the side. For this, we take our tools again. Some tools, pliers, a multi-tool, whatever you have, and we slightly bend it to the side. Here. Now, when we take our hook and look at it from here, we see that he looks slightly to the side. Here you see that it is uneven to the side. It is precisely the hook that should always look slightly to the side, but in general, friends, there is no clear opinion on this matter. Each angler uses handles differently, bends them, buys them in different shapes and sizes. It's a personal choice for each individual. But if this little hack ever comes in handy for you, or if you try it out someday, let's say you're getting bites but the fish aren't hooking well, try bending the hook a bit, and my advice will be helpful to you. I will be very happy, guys. And since we're already talking about hooks, guys, there's a good way to make a light hook dark, but who knows for what situations you might need this. We just take a lighter and burn it a bit, and you can see the hook immediately turns dark. It takes on a dark color. Also, guys, keep in mind that after such heating, the hook will become, guys, soft, quite soft, and because of that, it will bend easily. If you're fishing in snags, this kind of hook will be great because it will bend easily. But I also want to warn you all, if you heat the hook, it won't just change color, it will also become soft. For example, fishing in snags will be easier, the hook will bend and won't break, then you can bend it back. But when playing a fish, quite a large one, it will simply straighten up and not work. Hold the fish. So guys, you also need to be careful with heating the hook. Think about whether you need to do this or not. The next tip, guys, is about using a Moreska when fishing, especially during summer fishing, whether you're using a bottom rod or a float. If you're fishing with a feeder or a float, you can try using Moreskas. But this is more suitable not for crucian carp fishing, but more for other types of fishing. On the river, roach, bream, and bleak will respond better to a Moreska than to a regular hook. In my opinion, the best Moreskas, guys, are of this kind. Here's a little ant, a small black one with some kind of little thing on it. So you shouldn't take fluorescent ones or any big ones with glitter. No, you need to use a small Moreska just so it has some kind of microbead on it. Something like this. This will be the best option. Guys, this is the kind of Moreska for fishing in the summer. But of course, now we're talking about Moreskas for whitefish. If you want to catch perch, of course, choose something bright like the one I showed you, or with a little red bead, or a double one like a devil, anything really. So this method will also be really great It's specifically the Moreska in summer for float or bottom fishing. Honestly, it's also worth a try. The next life hack is about using fluorocarbon as a substitute for the main line. For some reason, many anglers who fish with line forget about fluorocarbon, especially when the bite is slow. When fishing with a spinning rod, they use fluorocarbon leaders because it's less visible in the water. It's practically a transparent material. Well, its breaking load is less than that of fishing line, but I want to tell you that from my experience, when I fish with a fightar, I use fluorocarbon of the same diameter as the fishing line. Monofilament, regular, and the guys are much better. My efficiency is serious, especially when the bite is bad. When you hook, fluorocarbon is better than line, so I advise you to have some fluorocarbon in stock. Well, naturally you can try fishing with fluorocarbon on a fishing line and with bad blood, but fluorocarbon is definitely more expensive than regular line, but it's still worth a try. Fluorocarbon with the same diameter as the fishing line will have fewer guys. You see, the breaking load 0.2, 1 and 1 kilogram line with a diameter of 0.12 will have a breaking load of 127 kilograms, which with such a diameter, guys, well, is much more. It may seem that a fishing line with a diameter of 0.12 is very, very thin on its own. But, guys, fish can still see the line because they perceive things differently than we do. Underwater, their vision is different. And now I'm taking some fluorocarbon. It may seem like it's the same diameter as the line, and we can see it the same way, but underwater it's not like that. Fluorocarbon has a different refractive index. It's made from a different material, guys. And underwater, fish can see it. Significantly worse. That's why it's practically transparent underwater. So that's the collection of life hacks we've put together. If you liked everything, like it and subscribe to the channel. And also, guys, wait for a new selection of life hacks or DIYs next week. If you haven't seen these videos, check them out. They're also quite interesting. Here you'll find DIY projects, life hacks, and old school tips. This was Sergey, and you were watching the YouTube channel Assistance TV. Leave your comments, give us a thumbs up, and wish you all the best, friends. Tight lines.